All right, the rest of the mail, though, was actual purchases, and I've got 3 of them that I'm pretty excited to share with you today. And the first card was a 2004-2005 Topps Finest Black Refractor of David Harrison, numbered to 29. And I realize this portion of the mail could seem a little repetitive because I've talked about David on the show before. In fact, I've talked to David on the show before. I haven't had a lot of player guests on, but those of you that have been with me for a while might remember he was my first player interview. So I'm always thankful to him for that. But David was the player I chose to collect when Ron Artest was suspended and subsequently pulled from the remainder of 2004 releases. And then I've also talked some about 2004 Finest on the show, because to me, I think it's an important set in the history of the hobby, and especially an important set in the 2000s, because it's kind of like the OG Prism. We never, up to that point, really had a chromium set with that many parallels. If you count each of the 4 printing plates as different parallels, which a lot of the online checklists do, there was something like 18 parallels for every player in the set, which was unheard of back then. But it was a lot of fun for player collectors to chase. And, back in 2004, I wasn't as interested in refractors. I've kind of always been a patch guy, but I have slowly been picking them up and trying to catch up all these years later. And this black refractor is one that I've had on my watch list for a long time. I've made several offers. I was doing the famous loser scroll through my watch list. I don't know if that's the phrase I want to use for that, but I've described it before, where you lose a card and you want to buy something else out of spite, right? So if I lose out on an auction, you better believe I'm going through that watch list and probably something else is getting purchased. And so I saw this David Harrison card and I realized the seller had finally dropped the price to something like $13 shipped. So I went ahead and I grabbed it. Now, the second item I purchased was a 2012 Leaf Metal. That's right, a 2012 Leaf product. Leaf Metal blue variation of Darryl Dawkins, the autograph numbered to 25, which was also pretty cheap. It cost me just a little bit over $10 shipped. And I think this is another good indicator of how some of my collecting tastes have changed. I had zero interest in this card back in the day, even though I did actually buy a pack, or I don't know how to describe it. I think they were little like cardboard sleeves that Leaf Metal came in. But I bought one of those back in the day, but I had zero interest in this Darryl Dawkins. Number one, because his uniform was photoshopped. And then number two, I got his autograph myself at an event in Charlotte. I've talked about that on the show too. Years ago, my thinking was, why would I need another autograph? I got one on my own that I saw him sign. But lately, I've got into inscription autos, and Dawkins inscribed all of these Leaf autos with his nickname Chocolate Thunder. And even though his jersey was photoshopped, it does have a pretty cool photo from the playoffs. I found the original photo where he's standing over Larry Bird, and maybe I'll have to post this on social media. I know for sure I'll get it on YouTube, but he's standing over Larry Bird. Now, Larry Bird is cropped out of this card, but they did leave another defender in clear sight, another prominent defender in clear sight, Pete Maravich. And I don't figure they meant to leave him in there, but he's there. I don't think it adds any value to the card, but it's cool nonetheless. So I'll make sure to get that one up so you can see it. All right, and then finally, package number 3. This one's from a set that's come up a couple times on the show lately. One that I'm slowly collecting, very slow. It contained a 2013-2014 Panini Innovation Statline Prime Patch of Kevin Durant, numbered 21 out of 25. And this was from a November 2013 game that the Thunder won against the Warriors by 1 point. And even though the stat line for Kevin Durant is listed on the front of the card, I wanted to know a little bit more about the game itself, so I looked it up online, and it turns out that the Thunder won on a Russell Westbrook game winner, which probably, seems like an improbable concept in the present day. I don't want to just pile on Westbrook, though. But anyway, this is a Durant patch, and I was more than happy to add it to my collection. It's a game-dated patch of one of the league's greatest players of all time in the $50 range. You really can't beat that.